What's going on, everyone? I'm NotBae, and wow, yeah, I didn't think I'd be talking about myself and tournaments again, but here we are. This past Sunday, a college friend of mine hit me up and invited me to compete in Brookland, a pretty stacked weekly in beautiful New York City. What I didn't know was that over half of the New York PR would be there. Yeah, apparently there was like an $1,000 prize pool, so what was a 32-man bracket on Friday turned into 74 people by the time we started. And unlike my first tournament back, I actually got to be on stream, which is what you are currently watching. Since this was super out of the blue, I figured I'd talk about my performance, overall experience, and whether I'll continue competing in the future. So first and foremost, how did I perform? Well, I was seeded 46 out of 74, understandably since it was my first time competing there. I didn't go 0-2. I finished 17th out of 74, which when I look back at my last tournament before COVID, I also finished 17th out of 74, so it seems like I have somewhat returned to my normal form, which is pretty sweet. My first game was against Cypher, which is the set you are seeing on stream, and he was really good. I definitely felt a bit rusty this set, and I don't think I played particularly clean, but I did enough to barely eke out a 2-0 victory. The main thing I noticed was his tactic of wave landing onto a platform then fast fall fairing me, so I just beat that out with the Shadow Ball, shielded, and we're good to go. Next match, I got beaten by C. Caleb, this crazy man playing Mii Gunner, and he may have been my favorite person I met there. He was a super chill dude, really good at the game, recognized me from Mewtwo, which is always a plus. Like, this dude before we started literally asked me if I had any questions about what kind of specials he was running. Like, this guy was just everything good about the Smash community, respectful and isn't afraid to sauce on you. I didn't have a ton of Gunner experience, and we were both just laughing, having a good time while playing, but yeah, he won 2-0, with the second game coming down to last hit. I had a really cool tech chase with Disable on a platform, so I was really happy about that. I do think with more matchup experience I can beat him, but definitely had my number that day. Also, that stealth bomb side B is nuts. I had no idea how that move functioned, and I learned the hard way. Needless to say, I am putting that on all of my Mii Gunner loadouts. My first match in losers was against Thitko, a Pikachu and Jigglypuff player who was also a super chill dude. I'm gonna be real, this was probably my easiest set of the tournament because it had everything going for me. Thitko didn't know the Mewtwo matchup very well, I love the Puff matchup as Mewtwo, and I fought Esam's Pikachu online, and apparently being bad against the best Pikachu in the world means that I do really well against other Pikachus. I felt very comfortable fighting this matchup. Anyways, I took game 1 against this Pika, and then game 2 against this Puff to advance, but he didn't know the Mewtwo matchup very well. He'll definitely be better when we play again. Next up, I was against Ishtar. He started game 1 as Pyra and Mithra, and once again my online experience has prepared me for almost anything Pyra and Mithra can do, so I pretty convincingly took game 1 with a 2-stock. He switched to Joker and 3-stocked me, game 2. Yeah, that wasn't good. One of those was an SD, but we won't talk about it. His Joker definitely felt better, so I took a deep breath and reset for game 3. And I won! I took his second stock really early since I'm Mewtwo, and unfortunately for him, it was just too big of a deficit to make up, so I advanced. Which finally brings me to Dark Blues. Nah, I'm kidding. I lost 2-1, and it was an overall good experience, but there were a couple things he did that I thought were a bit slimy. This guy is a Kazuya player, and if you know me, I definitely struggle fighting this character. The games were very polarizing. He 3-stocked me game 1, I low percent 2-stocked him game 2, and he 2-stocked me game 3. The matches themselves weren't the thing that left a sour taste in my mouth though, it was really how he and I interacted. I tried to make it very clear that while I am there to compete and do my best, I was also there to just have a good time, meet people, that whole thing. You might think that I have no competitive edge, which you're wrong, but hear me out. I spent over a year playing this godforsaken online without interacting with my opponent. Let me talk to people. Anyways, Dark Blues was definitely there to compete and win, which is fine, ain't nothing wrong with that. Hell, there was $1,000 on the line, right? But it made for a very odd dynamic. He was a perfectly fine person to talk to after the set, but a couple things he did were pretty shady. First off, he tried to get me to Gentleman to Small Battlefield, which if you don't know, Small Battlefield and Pokemon Stadium 2 are Kazuya's best stages. I didn't know this at the time, but I told him that Small Battlefield was a counterpick in the stage list, but suggested that we go to PS2 instead. I do wish I knew those stages were Kazuya's best beforehand, but it's whatever. You live and you learn. What really pissed me off though was after I won game 2, which by the way was on Kalos, he started telling me how that stage should be banned and kinda gave me a little bit of an attitude, even though he clearly had the advantage on PS2. Like, bro, you can't body me, then complain when I body you back because of the stage selection. That's like hitting a hornet's nest with a bat and then getting pissed off when they sting you. But it's whatever. Like I said, he was a perfectly chill dude after the set. He did trash talk a lot during the games, but again, I have no problem with trash talk in competition. Professional athletes trash talk all the time, and it's probably just his competitive mode. Alright, so I'm sure some of you are asking, what did I do differently in this tournament? I mean, I went 0-2 a couple months ago at an equally stacked tournament and all of a sudden finished in the upper half of the bracket, and honestly, it was just a mindset change. I didn't increase my practice time, nor drink some smash smoothie that made me better. I wish that was a thing. It was all just a mental reset. The previous tournament, my mindset was just to place well enough so I don't get clowned online by you guys. That was my first time competing with an audience and actual expectations, and the pressure definitely affected how I approached everything. Whereas this tournament was about me. I played to prove to myself that I am good enough to compete at a high level, and I did just that. This is why I didn't make any announcement prior to going. I just wanted to play my best and be proud of my game. I was playing to win, whereas the 0-2 tournament, I was playing not to lose, if that makes any sense. So, now that everything is said and done, am I happy with my placement? And my answer is yes, but I can definitely do better. I was recovering from a sore throat the week prior, and I didn't take a lot of time to actually practice. Also, like I said earlier, I was mainly there to have a good time, catch up with college friends, that whole deal. I know those sound like Johns and excuses, but believe me when I say I got outplayed to hell by the people I lost to. Not trying to throw shade at anybody or make excuses why I lost. But anyways, for not practicing a lot and going to have a good time, I am very happy with how I placed, especially with how stacked the tournament was. Over half the New York PR was there, so finishing in the upper half is definitely nothing to scoff at. With that being said, I think I can place higher if I practice more and get into my competitive mode. There's definitely a balance to be struck between competitiveness and having a good time, and my mindset was definitely favored in the good time this weekend. Which finally brings me to the last question. Am I going to compete more? I have been reluctant to compete seriously for a long time now and have gotten a lot of flack for not competing. Like seriously, I watched a Larry Lur video on Mewtwo, scrolled into the comments and saw a couple people super upset for me not competing. Like, bro, it ain't that big a deal. But back to the question at hand. I will say that I had a great time at the tournament, and if I have time, I will definitely try to compete at more tournaments. I'm going to prioritize my YouTube channel and my job, as always, as you should, but if the time and feel is right, yeah, why not? I'll give it a shot. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Main takeaway, me gunner is busted. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, learned something useful. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like and subscribing if you'd like to see more. It helps me out a lot. And also a huge shout out to Brooke Land and everyone for making the tournament possible and so much fun. That's all I have. I'll catch you all later.